Well, I just finished reading Don DeLillo's White Noise. And I have to be honest with you, I tried doing a book review or podcast on this book yesterday several times, and I didn't really like what I said. And I think what it boils down to is I don't really think that I have that much more to say about it, which hasn't already been said in any number of podcasts I've listened to on the internet. I think these podcasts that I've listened to were really, really good. They touched on the basic themes of the book, probably better than I can. So I'm not going to give you the plot. I mean, I assume that this is kind of a podcast for people who have already read the book. It's kind of also just for me, just to remind myself of my different reactions to it. So I'm just going to go through a couple of features of it that struck me. And that's it, in kind of a haphazard, random way. First of all, the main character of this book, Jack Gladney. Now, as has been said in every review I've listened to, Jack Gladney, this is a satire, and it's to an extent poking fun at the depths to which academia has sunk. Jack Gladney is the chairman of the department in Hitler Studies. Now, ordinarily, you would think, what a ridiculous thing to be the chairman of a department in Hitler Studies. But it's not really ridiculous at all. I mean, this book was written, I think, in the 80s. But is it really satirical or ridiculous anymore? Now you can major in feminist studies, in gender studies, in transgender studies, in I don't know, you name it. You can major. You can major in any of it. Is majoring in Hitler Studies any more or less, kind of silly or ridiculous than majoring in anything else? I mean, if you graduate from college having majored in Hitler Studies, that's going to really stand you in good stead in the world, right? In the business world. When you go for an interview, you're going to say, well, I've read Mein Kampf several times. I can tell you all about the different aspects of Hitler's life, blah blah blah. That's going to really impress an interviewer. They'll probably think you're weird, but it's not going to land you any sort of a job. So yeah, it's true. It's kind of a silly major, but no more or less silly than what we have now in 2026. It's kind of like 1984, this book, or Brave New World. They sound. These are dystopian novels that sound horrific, but they've come to pass. It's not fictional anymore. I mean, I think I saw a bumper sticker recently that said 1984 is here. So I don't really know even how satirical any of this is. Any of this, social commentary on commercialism and the superficiality of commercialism. It's not as much satirical for me as it's real now. I guess the novel, I appreciate, the novel. I appreciate that a lot of it was brilliant. I guess it's just satire, or what's supposed to be satire, which is now kind of realism. It's kind of not my thing that much, I mean, satirists, to me, are a form of social commentary. They're kind of telling you how bad things are now, how terrible, how ridiculous, how nonsensical they are. And Don DeLillo does that, as all these other podcasts have pointed out. But I guess I want more than satire in a novel. That's what I'm looking for. I don't mind parts of a novel being satirical, but when I sit down to read a novel, I want a little bit more than that. I want more than somebody telling me how bad things are. I want somebody who's trying to explore in this terrible, consumer-driven, psychotic, air-conditioned nightmare world that all of us live in, where we live under some kind of an oppressive system that we really don't have any control over anymore, which is a lot more true now than when Don DeLillo wrote his book. I'm interested in, well, how exactly do you live your life? And not just get through your life, but how do you live your life joyfully? That's what I'm interested in when I read a work of fiction. I want to go a little bit beyond this. I mean, Don DeLillo does talk about, the theme of the fear of death. That's which we all have, I think. He doesn't solve it. He doesn't give us any answers for the fear of death. I mean, his wife, Babette, her way of trying to approach her fear of death is not by meditation, by contemplation, by rumination, by going into herself. Her way of handling it is by taking this pill, Delillo, which is very, very sad. This is, and again, it's prescient of what our society has become. That's exactly what we do now. I mean, Delillo is now. 1984 is here. It's all about Valium and Wellbutrin and Buspar and Cymbalta and Halcyon and all these SSRIs. It's just horrific now. And Babette, Jack Gladney's wife, is the prototype for this, I suppose. Murray Siskind, even though Murray Siskind, like Jack, is a character created by Don DeLillo to kind of show us, poke fun of academia. I mean, Jack Gladney is into Hitler studies, Mein Kampf. He can't even read German, That's kind of the joke of the novel, too. He has to rush to learn German because there's going to be some kind of a Hitler conference at his college soon. Well, I mean, Murray Siskind is kind of the same thing. He's a visiting professor he's one of these New York emigres, as he's described. And he's here on this, I guess it's I don't know what kind of a campus, maybe it's in the Midwest. And he's here to give a course on car crashes in the movies. And again, it's more or less the same thing as Jack Gladney in terms of academia, but I found that Murray Siskind was one of the real bright spots of the novel. I mean, the guy is so over the top. The fact that he is so committed to finding profundity in every single aspect of American pop culture and consumeristic culture. I mean, Murray Siskind is the kind of a guy that can go to a supermarket and, read the labels on different products and have a religious experience, He's very, very funny. Ask Murray Siskind a question about anything trivial and he'll go on forever. I love the way that at the end of the book that Jack Gladney confesses his fear of death. He confesses to Murray that he's been exposed to this toxic chemical and he's kind of freaked out that his life is going to be shortened by it. And Murray Siskind sort of gives him all of these he goes on a great length talking about all the ways that you can get around your fear of death. And you have to admire him just for the fact that he keeps going on so long. It's actually kind of funny. He kind of reminded me in this chapter when he's trying to comfort Jack Gladney and help him to cope with his fear of death. It reminds me of Some Like It Hot, the movie with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. Remember at the end of the movie when Tony Curtis actually says to Joey Brown, he finally takes off his wig and says, "I'm a man, stupid." I mean, Joey Brown is head over heels in love with Tony Curtis, who he thinks is a woman. And when he finally says, "I'm a man, stupid," something like that, and takes off his wig, Joey Brown is not fazed at all. He just says, "Well, hey." He said, Tony Curtis says, "Well, I can't have children. I'm a man with you." And Joey Brown just says, "Well, we can adopt, It's not a question of his being a homosexual. It's just a question of Joey Brown just, so what, And Murray Siskind is kind of the same way when he's having this dialogue about the fear of death with Jack. There's something very, very funny and over the top and perverse about it. And that was, to me, one of the bright spots of the book. Another bright spot of the book, I mean, there was very little action in the book. I found it kind of slow. There were only a few bright spots. That was one of them, Murray Siskind. This whole episode where Jack shoots, what's his name, Willie Mills, the guy who was slept with his wife, Babette. Thank God there was a little action in this book. And I love that. That was the high point of the book, and that's where Don DeLillo really, really shined. That was quite masterful, the way he did that whole section. Everything about it was masterful. When Jack goes into the motel where Willie, what's his name? Willie the Dylar manufacturer, when he goes in to shoot him, Willie is already lost his mind from taking these Dylar pills. And what does he say in his deranged state? He sort of just makes these eviscerated comments, these disembodied comments about consumerism. When you lose your mind, I guess you just kind of talk in jingles and slogans, consumeristic slogans. It's the atmosphere of the novel is so saturated in the superficiality of consumerism, the emptiness and hollowness of it. It's really masterful. Another high point, again, these only came at the end of the novel. I wish there had been more of this throughout the novel. When Jack goes to the emergency room with the guy he shot, and he's shot in the wrist and they're bleeding all over the place, his dialogue with the nun who says to him, I don't believe in this religious crap. I just do that for the benefit of the non-believers. This is also great. It's perceptive. It's manic and perverse on steroids. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you want in a satirical novel. My hat's off to you, Don DeLillo. Well done. It was terrific. I also liked, little touches. I like this classmate of Heinrich, Mercator, whose dream is to be locked in a cage with 27 deadly snakes like the Black Mamba. The message is clear that, in this, anesthetized, superficial, consumeristic, all-embracing, soul-crushing society that we live in, The only way you can sort of feel alive is by trying to break some world record for sitting in a cage with some deadly snakes. That's the only way you can rouse yourself from your consumeristic stupor, I guess. That's a very nice touch. So it's what Don DeLillo is trying to communicate to us about the overwhelmingly crushing nature of our society. This is back in the mid-'80s. I got it. I get the message loud and clear. My only criticism is I wish there was more. I wish it was even more manic. I wish there were more of the book was like the episodes where he shoots Willie, and more episodes like his dialogue with Murray Siskind about the nature of death, stuff like that. But I mean, this is kind of my personal taste. The book was slow to develop for me. That's all I'm saying. This can be more my just a matter of my taste. I do kind of see this book, when all is said and done, belonging to the genre of, so it's a satire, yes. It's dystopian. It belongs more to the realm of social commentary to me, which it does very well. And that's maybe the chief reason why I wasn't crazy about it. It's worth reading, definitely. I'm glad I was exposed to this particular vision that DeLillo depicts. Wouldn't be my top 10 reads or even my top 50 reads. I would read I'm going to read a bunch more novels, get them under my belt before I even consider the idea of exploring a more Don DeLillo. I mean, I'm not going to read. I mean, I hear this book and Gravity's Rainbow, Pynchon, which I haven't read. I mean, I'm not going to read Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. It's a 900-page novel, I understand. I'm just not going to read that kind of postmodern stuff until I have a lot more novels under my belt which are not postmodern. I'll put it that way. I have to take this kind of postmodern stuff in limited doses. What else can I say about this? And just to give you an idea, to clarify where I'm coming from, I mean, I like novels. I mean, my kind of novel is a novel which is more like, if you're familiar with Clarice Lispector's The Passion of G.H. That is an intensely introspective novel. There are no characters in it except for G.H. and a cockroach. That's kind of more my style. Or The Death of Ivan Ilyich is more my style. Less characters, much more intense. It's really trying to, I don't know, tackle something much more, the meaning of life, I guess you'd say. That's more my thing. And also, instead of a novel like White Noise, my kind of novel would be something like, just to give you an idea where I'm coming from, would be more like Humboldt's Gift by Saul Bellow. I mean, it's also an intensely introspective novel. It has a character, Citron, who speaks in the first person. I just found that to be a somewhat tighter novel, the way that it was written, than DeLillo's novel. DeLillo's novel was very, very tightly written in certain parts. but I found that a book like Humboldt's Gift was tightly written all throughout. That's all. It's purely a matter of taste, and I guess that's really all I can say about it. Again, there are plenty of good reviews out there on this novel. The best one that I've come up with, this gives a wonderful synopsis of this book, is by a book reviewer, a booktuber. His name is Carol Wainwright. He's up there. He has a really good review of White Noise, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of bowed out from doing a traditional review of this book. So if you really want something, a bird's eye view of this novel, whether you want to read it or not, go check out his review. Thanks.